Across the mists of medieval Europe, towering spires pierce the sky like stone prayers frozen in time. For over 1,000 years, pilgrims have knelt within these sacred walls, seeking divine grace. But what if I told you that beneath the Christian veneer lies a hidden language, ancient symbols that predate the cross by centuries? Welcome to a world where pagan gods whisper through Gothic arches, where fertility goddesses guard church doorways, and where the very foundations of Christianity rest upon stones carved by those who worshipped older, darker powers. In the hushed sanctuaries of Europe's grand cathedrals, where sunlight transforms into liquid gold through stained glass and incense creates halos in the air, ancient stones whisper tales that would shock the faithful. These sacred spaces, revered as bastions of Christian faith, are in truth palimpsests, ancient texts where new words have been written over old. The stones themselves remember. They remember a time before the cross, when different gods demanded different sacrifices, when nature itself was divine. To understand these secrets, we must learn to read the language written in limestone and granite, carved by hands that served two masters, the Christian God above and the ancient spirits below. High above the heads of worshippers, hidden among flying buttresses and Gothic arches, a face watches. Not the face of Christ or saint, but something far older, the Green Man. From Notre Dame in Paris to the mysterious Rosslyn Chapel in Scotland, this enigmatic figure emerges from entwined foliage. Leaves sprout from his mouth like ancient words being spoken. Vines pour from his eyes like tears of the earth itself. In pre-Christian Britain, he was the spirit of the wild wood, the god of vegetation who died each winter and was reborn each spring. When Christianity swept across Europe, the church could have destroyed these images. Instead, they chose a more cunning path. They absorbed them. The Green Man became a guardian of Christian spaces, his pagan power domesticated but never truly tamed. Even today, in cathedrals where thousands kneel in prayer, the old god of the forest continues his silent vigil, waiting for the faithful to remember what came before. On the weathered walls of medieval churches, particularly across Ireland and Britain, visitors encounter something that challenges every assumption about Christian art, the Sheela. These are not demure medieval maidens. These female figures, with their exaggerated displays of sexuality, seem to mock the very notion of Christian modesty. To modern eyes, they appear shocking, even obscene. But to medieval minds, they served a crucial purpose. In the old religion, the feminine divine was not hidden beneath robes of shame, but celebrated in all her raw, creative power. The Sheela was believed to ward off evil, protect against death, and ensure fertility. She was the ultimate guardian of thresholds, the boundary between life and death, sacred and profane. Think about the audacity, placing these explicitly pagan fertility symbols at the very entrances to Christian churches. It's as if the church was saying, we acknowledge the old powers. We incorporate them, but we do not surrender to them. Mathematics and mysticism have always been intimate partners. Nowhere is this more evident than in the sacred geometry hidden within Gothic cathedrals, particularly the ancient symbol known as the Vesica Piscis. This almond-shaped figure, formed by the intersection of two circles, appears throughout Christian architecture. To the faithful, it represents the intersection of heaven and earth, the divine and the mortal, but its origins trace back to ancient Greece, to Pythagoras, and the sacred mathematics of creation itself. The Vesica Piscis is simultaneously the symbol of the womb, the source of all life, and the mathematical representation of the square root of 3, a number the ancients considered magical. When medieval architects incorporated this shape into their designs, they were encoding ancient wisdom into Christian stone. At Chartres Cathedral, this geometry reaches its pinnacle. Every arch, every window, every portal follows proportions that would have been familiar to Egyptian temple builders and Druidic stone circles. The builders were not just creating houses of worship, they were constructing cosmic diagrams in stone. In the heart of Christianity, surrounded by the sacred architecture of St. Peter's Basilica, stands a monument that has nothing to do with Christ, a towering Egyptian obelisk, older than the Roman Empire itself. For over 3,000 years, this granite pillar stood in the Egyptian city of Heliopolis, dedicated to Ra, the sun god. It witnessed the rise and fall of pharaohs, the conquests of Alexander, the coming of Rome, and when Emperor Caligula brought it to Rome in 37 AD, it brought with it the power of the ancient sun cult. In 1586, Pope Sixtus V ordered the obelisk moved to its current position in St. Peter's Square. The engineering feat required 900 men, 75 horses, and countless pulleys. But why go to such enormous effort to preserve a pagan monument? The answer lies in the church's strategy of absorption. By crowning the obelisk with a Christian cross and surrounding it with sacred architecture, the church was making a bold statement. We have conquered even the gods of Egypt. Their power now serves our purpose. In the illuminated pages of the Book of Kells and carved into the stones of countless churches, a simple three-pointed knot tells a complex story of religious transformation, the triquetra. To Christians, this elegant symbol represents the Holy Trinity, Father, Son, and Holy Spirit, three persons in one divine essence. But to the Celtic Druids who first carved this symbol, it represented something quite different, the triple goddess. In the old Celtic religion, the divine feminine manifested in three aspects: the maiden, the mother, and the crone. The triquetra symbolized not just these three faces of the goddess, but the interconnectedness of earth, sea, and sky, the very fabric of reality itself. When Irish monks adopted this symbol for Christian use, they performed a masterful act of religious diplomacy. The familiar symbol eased the transition for converts, while layering new meaning onto ancient forms. The triple goddess became the Trinity, but the power of three remained. In the mist-shrouded fjords of Norway, wooden churches rise like the dragon ships of Viking legend, and carved into their very timbers are dragons themselves, but these are not the demons of Christian theology. In Norse mythology, dragons were not evil creatures to be slain by heroes. They were powerful protectors, guardians of sacred places, keepers of ancient wisdom. The great serpent Jörmungandr encircled the entire world, holding it together with his mighty coils. When Christianity came to Scandinavia, these protective dragons didn't disappear. They found new roles. The same craftsmen who once carved dragon heads on Viking longships now carved them on church doorways, where they continued their ancient duty as guardians of the threshold. Look closely at these carvings, and you'll see something remarkable. The style, the proportions, even the expressions are nearly identical to those found on Viking artifacts. The church had found a way to make peace with the old gods, allowing them to serve as protectors of the new faith. Embedded in the floor of Chartres Cathedral lies one of Christianity's most mysterious features, a labyrinth that draws pilgrims from around the world to walk its ancient path. Unlike a maze designed to confuse, this labyrinth has only one path, a winding journey that leads inevitably to the center. For Christian pilgrims, it represents the soul's journey toward God, a walking meditation that mirrors the spiritual path. But labyrinths are far older than Christianity. They appear in Greek mythology as the prison of the Minotaur, in Native American traditions as symbols of birth and rebirth, in ancient Celtic culture as pathways to the other world. When medieval architects incorporated labyrinths into cathedral design, they were drawing on a universal human instinct, the need for sacred journey, for pilgrimage that transforms the walker. The Christian meaning was new, but the power was ancient. Perhaps no symbol carries more emotional weight in modern times than the swastika. Its association with Nazi Germany has overshadowed thousands of years of sacred meaning, but in the early Christian era, this symbol told a very different story. In the Basilica of Sant'Ambrogio in Milan, in early Christian vestments, in Roman catacombs where the first Christians worshipped in secret, the swastika appears as a symbol of good fortune, eternity, and the cyclical nature of existence. For thousands of years, across cultures that never had contact with each other, this symbol represented the same things: the wheel of life, the four directions, the eternal cycle of creation and destruction. Early Christians adopted it as naturally as they adopted the cross. The tragic irony is that a symbol once representing universal harmony and spiritual protection became associated with humanity's darkest chapter. In Christian contexts, the swastika reminds us how symbols can be corrupted, how sacred meanings can be twisted beyond recognition. The cathedrals of Europe stand today not merely as monuments to Christian devotion, but as testament to something far more complex: the intricate dance between old faiths and new, between conquest and accommodation, between the desire to destroy the past and the wisdom to preserve it. Through the integration of pagan symbols, Christianity didn't simply replace the old religions. It absorbed them, transformed them, made them part of something larger. The Green Man still guards the forest spirits. The Sheela still protects against evil. The dragons still ward off malevolent forces. In our modern world, where religious conflict often makes headlines, these ancient stones offer a different model. They show us that faith can be expansive rather than exclusive, that sacred truths can coexist rather than compete. When we walk through these magnificent structures, we're not just walking through Christian space, we're walking through the accumulated spiritual wisdom of millennia. Every stone tells a story. Every carving preserves a memory. Every symbol bridges the gap between what was and what became. The next time you enter one of these sacred spaces, Listen carefully. If you know how to hear them, the stones are still speaking. They're telling us that all human searching for the divine is connected, that the impulse to worship, to create meaning, to reach for something greater than ourselves, transcends any single faith or tradition. In the end, perhaps that's the greatest secret hidden in these Christian cathedrals. Not that they contain pagan symbols, but that they prove the human spirit's endless capacity to find the sacred, no matter what name we give to God.